Hi, Susie Welch here, professor at NYU Stern School of Business. Why? Tell me why we don't live by our values. I mean, everyone would agree you should live by your values. It makes you more authentic. And yet, most of us do not, at least for the vast majority of our lives, and it causes a lot of pain. Well, what's the reason? What's going on? Why don't more people live by their values? Well, funny you should ask. I have an answer. I teach it in my class, Becoming You at NYU. And I refer to the reasons, 6 of them, as the 6 horsemen, not of the apocalypse, but the 6 horsemen of values destruction. Very clever. I have them all starting with an E. Let's run through them, okay? Let's start with the first E. It's expedience, okay? We have values, but we don't live by them because it just would be easier not to, okay? I have a value, for instance, of living in a city. I love the energy. I'm happier in cities. I've got to live in the city. Yeah, but it's just so much easier when you live in the suburbs for your dog. And believe me, I love dogs. It's so much easier to get your groceries into the house. It's so much easier. And you end up living in a place that's not really a match for your values. Expedience. It's just easier to get your kids into school. I get it. But people can spend their whole lives not living by key values, especially around lifestyle, because of expedience, the first E. Okay, let's talk about the second E, and that is eyeballs. Okay, another word for optics, and you're just afraid of how we'll look. I have a value of working in the world of service. Okay, I really want to give back to people all the time. That's a gigantic value of mine, but it would mean making less money, and actually, I wouldn't have a job that would look good on my resume. Optics. What would people say when they say, "Oh, she got that fancy degree, and then she ended up in this job," and people just sort of wrinkling their nose, and you're just afraid, what does it look like? And again, people give away their whole lives for optics. They really do. And you know what? I have a friend whose grandmother used to say to her, don't flatter yourself that people are thinking about you that much. And I think it's really good advice. The optics are really in your own head. That's the second E. Okay, the third E is expectations. Now, there are a lot of expectations on all of us the day we're born. Our parents' expectations, societal expectations, cultural expectations. Look, the good news is there's fewer of these constraints and expectations than there used to be. When I was growing up, it wasn't expected that a woman would become a doctor, frankly, okay? And so there are a lot of expectations, and we visit them on ourselves. Well, I come from a family of doctors. I can't possibly become a plumber, which is now plumbers will make more than doctors, so the table is turning. But I would say that expectations that we presume people have and expectations that have been sort of drummed into us from when we were little can get in the way of us living by our values as easy as 1, 2, 3, and it kind of stinks. Okay, let's talk about the fourth E, economics, okay? It's just you have incredibly strong values, you want a certain work-life balance, or you want to live a certain place, or you want a certain kind of job, but you just make your decisions based on what makes the most money. Now, I totally get it. This is so legit. You have got debt, you've got student loans, you've got a mortgage, you've got a kid with special needs. So economics are real, but sometimes there are default value. Okay, it's just like, okay, it's got to be the best decision because it's more money. And we spend our whole lives until we're 50 years old. And then we think, you know what? The money just wasn't worth me not living by my values. So look long and hard if one of your values is just driven by the economic motive that's going on. The fifth E is events. Again, this is just part of life. You're living by your values, or you're headed toward your values, your life of purpose, and then something comes along that's an event, like the pandemic, okay? Or, you get a divorce, a kid goes off the rails, you lose a spouse, something massive happens or small, and then you let those events sort of drive the boat from that point onward, and maybe you go off the journey that you were on, but you never get back on it because events took precedence. That happens all the time, and you end up somewhere far along in your career and you think, I just took one job after another because the jobs kept coming up and there was just sort of, and you let that event-driven life get in the way of your life of authentic values. Okay, let's talk about the last E. I saved the hardest for last, and the word I use is ecosystem, but really it's just a euphemism for family. A lot of times we don't live by our values because we are living by the values of our parents, our partners, or our children. I am guilty. I have done this. I did this my whole life because I loved them so much. And so sometimes values are in opposition, okay? One spouse wants to live one way and one wants to live the other, or your parents really want something of you and you want something else. And because of love and respect, we cede our own values to the values of the people that we love. You have to face into the ecosystem, family, pressures on you when people in your family who you love and respect or honor or fear sometimes have different values than you do. And you find yourself not being authentic because you're living by their values. That's a big E, a lot to grapple with. People are in therapy for 30 years over that one. And I'm talking about it in 2 or 3 minutes. But those, my friends, are the 6 horsemen of values destruction. Are any of them romping through your life right now, galloping through your life right now? If so, time to think about it, time to push back, time to maybe throw the reins around that horse and get your life back under control. I'm Susie Welch. I love talking to you. If you like this video, push that like button, write something, tell somebody about it, subscribe to my channel. I'm told I must say things like this, and I'll see you next time for another video.